Hi all, welcome to the Coffee Break Podcast, where each month we interview a creative in the film and entertainment industry. It could be a producer, director, actor, screenwriter, or all of the above. We'll dive into their journeys and stories behind their work. My name is Kenzie Klem, and I am thrilled to be hosting this podcast. I'm an actress who is passionate about supporting fellow artists in our industry. On this episode, we have Catie Hankins in the studio, who will be talking about her career as an actor, producer, and screenwriter.
Hi, yay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited that we're finally sitting across the table from each other. I have wanted you in the studio with us for so long. I'm so thrilled that you're here.
Thank you. I'm like actually honored. And you sound great. Like you sounded like a recording, like straight up.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
You sounded legit.
That was live. Do you want to tell everyone that was live?
That was live.
That was
like everyone should be very impressed that was live.
And it was one take.
It was amazing.
It was one take. That doesn't usually happen. Welcome. You're actually one of the first people I met here in Austin that I worked with. You and I met on Facebook because you were looking for another model and a photographer to shoot with.
Yes.
And I reached out and I was like, I'm looking too. And it was,
I didn't know I was the first person that you met. That's so cool.
One of the first people I met here in Austin.
That's so
in
cool.
the industry.
Aw, that's awesome.
So look at us.
It's
here
full
now.
circle. Yeah.
That's what I was just going to say. Full circle. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your journal.
Don't read my journal.
I won't read your journal. Your journey, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Catie Hankins, and I really was a storyteller from when I was a little kid, which I feel like a lot of people in this industry are. They had like some kind of like gift or like specialty that just came naturally. And when I was a kid, I would make like puppet shows and like write like a family newspaper about like the happenings of my family and put on plays and record anything that I could. I made an animation like with some like software that I had as a child. I don't even know. I was just making stuff all the time. And I wrote a play when I was in middle school, and that's really when I started getting into theater. And I did theater for a very, very long time. And really when I got into filmmaking was when I graduated from college, because it was the pandemic and there was no theater. And I was like, well, crap, I guess I got to learn how to act on film. And so I was like, okay, well, let's get together, all my friends from acting class, let's make a short film. And that was like my crash course in filmmaking. I'd never made a movie before except when I was a kid or whatever. And everyone that was involved, it was like their first time doing it. First time DP, all of that stuff. And so that was my first experience with filmmaking. And I was like, this is the coolest feeling ever. Like having your script be brought to life by other people and yourself, and then watching it in the end, like it was amazing. And so after that, I was like, I want to keep making my own work too. And so I produced my web series, New Me. That's when I met Jenny De La Fuente, who's my producing partner. And we started Pink Mud Productions because we love making movies and we love acting and we want to make more movies that we can act in, pretty much. And so that's kind of what brought me here today. That's like a little bit of my background.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. I love it. So I have so many questions for you. We don't have all the time for all these questions, but you are such a fascinating, incredible person. I was telling her earlier, I have notes and notes of pages on you.
It's very sweet.
From when we chatted a couple weeks ago. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the jobs that you did before you have a production company now.
Yes.
That you recently started with Jenny. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Pink Mud Productions, which is amazing. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the different jobs that you did before then, because you also said that those jobs helped you so much, learning about different things in this industry, and everything that you've done, you took away something from it that you now use. So can you chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think for anybody, so as an actor, all you want to do is act. Like that's it. And anytime you're doing anything else, you're like, this is just a distraction from what I really want to do. But in reality, all of that stuff fuels you later in some way, shape, or form, gives you like some kind of a special skill maybe, or like some kind of thing that will apply to the business of acting. And so when I was out of school, I tried at so many different jobs to try to figure out what can work while I'm being an actor, because it's very hard to figure it out. And so I started a personal training business, and I loved it. It was so much fun, and I was training women, and it was amazing. But I realized, oh my God, like I'm starting this business. It has nothing to do with acting. Like I'm not spending any time on acting. But what I took from that was I learned how to market myself on social media. And I learned like the basics of running a business. It's like, wait, this applies to acting too. And I haven't been thinking about it that way. So that was like one thing that I took. Then I went into tech sales. God, I was into
that face.
It was so hard. It was like,
I hope people are watching the YouTube videos so they can experience
it was really hard. But it gave me so much perspective because I was cold calling 40 people a day, every single day, trying to set 7 meetings a month. Like that ratio is like insanity. So then I started thinking, okay, well, how many auditions do I need to get one job? A bunch, like a lot. And it really like helped like humble me in a way of being like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to get cast in everything I audition for. And it's more like you're putting in the reps so that you can get that one job. Because there literally is a thing called the math of sales. So it's like you have to put out a certain amount of stuff to be able to get one or whatever. So it was a really good like perspective shift for me. And then again, oh my God, I need to apply sales to my acting career too. And I wasn't thinking about it that way. So I just encourage everybody that whatever you're doing now, it's going to help you in some way, shape, later on. Even if it doesn't feel like it now, it's like every experience that you have molds you for that next step in your life. So yeah.
You mentioned auditioning, and I want to go back to that because we talked a lot about your post-college life and how you struggled with self-esteem a lot. And I did as well as an actor, because in college and in school, you're given roles and it's like, okay, you're definitely going to have a chance to get this role, or you're going to get cast in this school play or this show and everything like that. But then you're auditioning in the professional real world and it's kind of
a shock.
It's a huge shock. And I want to talk about how you kind of dealt with that struggle, that journey, because absolutely every actor I've ever talked to, I coach actors, I work with them. They're always like, oh my gosh, it's
horrible.
It's so horrible.
I know.
And then the realization that I think a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the casting process is not in your control. And how that helped you realize, like, understand the audition game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it really is a game.
It's the math of sales.
Yeah.
It's like you have to put in so many reps, and it's like you're building a relationship with the casting director. This is what I didn't understand at first, because it was like, I'm auditioning for something. Why am I not getting cast? Number one, that's your first audition with that person. They don't know you. Like, they don't know if you can handle whatever role it is yet. They don't know, like, based off your tape or whatever 5 seconds you were in the office. Of course, some people do get cast off their first time. Like, I'm not taking that away, but like, this industry is about relationships, and like, it can take a while to form. But yeah, when I was first out of school, I was like, wait, what? Like, I've auditioned 5 times. Like, how have I not booked 3 of these jobs? Like, I don't understand. And so just understanding, like, in college, you're in such a small pool of people. And then once you're out of college, it's like never ending, like the amount of people that are out there. And the only solution that I have for that has helped me with that is creating my own work. That's the only way I know how to work around it, because at least I can control that. If I was just auditioning and like just hoping and waiting and hoping and waiting, oh my God, that'd be probably very sad, because you just, again, you're an actor. All you want to do is act. And it feels like you can't do that. So when I'm able to create my own work, I can play leading roles and I can fill that inside me. And simultaneously, I'm moving my career forward, and simultaneously, I'm helping myself get more jobs, because it's like I've worked already and I've worked on set. So it's like, it is the most empowering thing that an actor can do. But yeah, that struggle is so real when you first come out of school. I mean, it's just the name of the game, like you said. It's a reality of the situation.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually a perfect introduction point to New Me, because I wanted to chat about that.
Oh my God, chat about it.
And I'm so excited too. I want to take a couple minutes for you to explain how you came up with this idea, because I think the background behind it is really, really important.
Yeah.
And something that is very prominent now, especially with social media and
100%.
the comparison game and everything that makes our industry incredibly difficult, because it is very hard to not go on social media and be like, okay, well, they're doing this and I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So can you chat a little bit about your experience and your personal life and how that, how you navigated to New Me and your character of Sadie?
Yeah, 100%. So for those that don't know, New Me is a web series, and it's about an inexperienced college freshman that's struggling to find herself because of all this pressure from social media. So this pressure of social media has been so real for me, like ever since Instagram came around. Like I feel like it just created a new like construct of a beauty construct of like, oh my God, I need to look this way. And I was seeing a lot of girls that were probably Photoshopped, but I didn't know that they were Photoshopped at the time. And like it like would unlock insecurities in me that I didn't even know I had. And I started to, of course I was dealing with it, but the idea for the script really clicked for me when I was out to eat. And I saw this group of teenagers, like really young girls, and they were all dressed up like influencers, like what social media presents like that you should look like. And none of them were talking to each other. They were all on their phones scrolling through social media. And the only time that they would look up to like interact was to take a photo and then go back. And I was like, oh my God, this is so messed up. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And it's like, these are these young girls getting this impression. And so I was like, I want to explore what it would be like to have a character that is so out of the times of social media and all that stuff, but she goes through a breakup, so she feels like she has to get into it. And she's like, wait, what the heck? Like, I have to make a dating profile and I have to post like a slutty picture of myself. Like, I don't really want to do this. Like, these outfits don't fit me right. Like, I don't understand. And so that's kind of how I got to Sadie. Yeah.
I love it. And that brings me to Pink Mud Productions.
Yes.
So chat a little bit about that and how you were not getting cast in the work that you wanted to. You created Sadie, and you also decided, hey, I'm going to create my own company so I can create even more of my own work, which I don't think a lot of people realize that they can do.
Oh, yeah.
So many people do it. And
anyone can do it.
Yeah. Tell people. Tell them you can do it.
Anyone can do it.
Yes.
I mean, well, first, if you think about it, like, if you're an actor, like that's already a skill, but you probably have some other skills too. Like I am very much like, again, like I liked running my own business. So I like organizing things. I like throwing events, and I planned my own wedding. If you think about it, a film is kind of like a wedding. Like you have to get all your vendors in order and like all the stuff together. And so if you figure out what kind of skills that you might have, you could definitely start a production company and just the stuff that you're not good at, hire other people to do it and fill those roles. But yeah, I think the way that we got there is just me and Jenny, we work so well together. And it's like when you find that person that you can collaborate so well with, but they also fuel your collaboration, because I feel like we have so many ideas, like as creative people, everyone has an idea of stuff that they want to do. And if you have someone that can encourage that idea and then help you execute it, it's like you feel like the possibilities are kind of endless. So that's when I was like, we should definitely start a production company. And I think it's just all about that collaboration is really what made it possible for us.
Yeah. Were there any pivotal moments or challenges on this journey from creating the web series to this production company that you've put together? Like crowdfunding and getting support and all of that. What is that like? Because I know you did a lot of crowdfunding.
100%.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, crowdfunding is a grind, like for real. And but but it works, and we've been able to make it work. But yeah, it's stressful. You're like, holy crap, if I don't hit 80% of my goal, everyone gets like refunded and my movie doesn't get made. Like, that's so much pressure. And also you feel like super annoying because you're reaching out to someone for like the fifth time, like, hey, don't forget, like, I'm filming this movie, I'd love if you could contribute, like, I know you said you were gonna contribute, like, please contribute. So yeah, there's a lot of struggles there. And like, I think a big struggle that can happen is just if you don't get the momentum going, it can really fizzle out. Mm-hmm. So that's like my biggest advice is like, if you set a deadline for yourself and you just start telling people, I'm going to do this film, you start talking about it, then you have to do it. And that helps that momentum keep going. Because I feel like that happens to a lot of people, is that they want to make a movie. They have the idea. They might even have the script. And then they're like, it just didn't happen. Like, I couldn't get it made. And I'm like, it makes sense because it's very hard to make a movie. But if you just start talking about it and start saying, I'm going to make this, and like telling everybody you know, and now everything's on the line because everyone you know knows you're making this movie, you have to finish it. So a lot of that like social pressure really helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, but I feel like I'm jumping all over because now this is reminding me of this.
Just go anywhere.
Okay, I'm going to do it. Because you mentioned grind, and I was like, all right, put a pin in that word because I have a question for her about that. Mm-hmm. The determination and grind and motivation of creatives, I want to talk about that because I feel like sometimes we feel like we can't stop and we have to constantly be doing something. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. Someone else on Instagram is going to be doing something and we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be advancing our career. And you had a huge realization about this a year or so ago.
Yes.
And that really, really changed your outlook and your perspective on this industry, on you as a creative, on you as a human. Can you tell us a little bit about that story? Because that was actually really impactful to me, hearing you go through that, because I had something similar that I went through, and I'm thinking, I'm like, there's going to be so many people out there, because it really is such an inspiring story. And I think also because you're a mom and you're still doing all of these things and you're doing what you love and you are grinding, but it's so important to take time to yourself. And
1,000%.
I'm blabbing, but
no, you're fine. It's true.
Chat about that story.
Yeah, no, of course. So I totally resonate with you grind all day long. You wake up at 4 a.m. You go to the gym. You do everything that you need to do all day long. You go to the networking events, the film festivals. Like, do not stop. Do not fall behind. Like, I resonate with that because that was me. And I think there's benefits, of course, but it's so mentally like draining. And I just had a really big realization because so I found out that I was pregnant last year, and I was in this grind like phase of my life, like really. And I was so frustrated and so almost resentful in a way that my body was slowing me down. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm pregnant. How am I going to, move forward in my career? How am I going to get cast in anything? I'm a pregnant lady. Like, I have to take a nap right now. Like, I literally am so exhausted. Like, how am I going to move my career forward? This sucks. And then I went on vacation with my mom and my sister, and we went to Hawaii, and I've never been to this island before. And it was like, everybody there was so slow and like just hanging out on the beach and like drinking like smoothies. Like, I was like, what is happening here? But it forced me to slow down, and I could finally sit with myself as me being pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, like, my life is changing right now. And I couldn't even like take the time to celebrate how cool that was, and like what a unique experience this was, because I was so distracted with, I have to keep working to keep up. And I just had this huge realization that our lives are a series of phases, but we don't realize it's a phase until it's over. So it's like, you're like, say for instance, you're 17 or whatever, and you're in high school and all this fun stuff is happening. And then you graduate and that's over, and that's not coming back. And the same with college. And then the same with your marriage. Maybe you were engaged and then you're married, and then you're no longer single. That's over. And that just like really impacted me because I was like, I'm pregnant right now. I need to live in this and experience this because this is going to be over one day. And that changed everything for me. And it changed how I approached all of my work. And I think it's really important to realize, especially as actors, because and as an actor, I pull from my experiences all the time. I use imagination. Of course, everyone uses imagination. But having that real life experience for something adds another layer. The way I would play a pregnant woman now is completely different of how I would have played it before I experienced it. The way I play a mom, oh my God, completely different. I had no idea. Like the depth that you would feel for your child, none of it. And so I think that we need to take time to live experiences that are not work related. Because it's so fulfilling to yourself. And like, I don't know how else you can keep going if you don't have these stuff outside, especially because like we talked about, you're not going to get cast in everything and it can take a really long time. And, you know, some people, they don't ever get cast on the big TV show. They don't. And it's like, if you spent all of your time pursuing that and you never fulfilled like your personal stuff of like your family and hobbies and other things like that, like what are you really left with? And so, yeah, that really changed everything for me. And ever since then, of course, I'm still working on all my stuff because I'm still following my dreams, but I take time to be with my family. Like I spend all day with my little baby, like, because it's so awesome to me and it fills my heart. And then, yeah, I can approach my work like with a different mindset of like, there's plenty of jobs out there and the right job is coming for me and that's totally fine. And I can say no to stuff a lot more easily too, which I think people struggle with a lot, especially actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel like you have to say yes. Like you can't say no.
It's like,
it's a job.
It's like, I'll be there and I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know, but like, are you going to miss your sister's wedding to do that? Like, don't. Just don't, because you won't get that back. So that was a huge realization that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during those phases, there's so many different ones. How do you learn how to, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I have so many questions for you. How do you balance the demands of, now that you've had this realization, you have a changed mindset, how do you balance the demands of auditioning and rehearsals and filming and owning your own company and producing someone else's work and producing your own work and also taking care of yourself and your mental health and your physical health and everything? Because as artists, it's that go, 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 go.
Yes.
But what do you do to kind of balance all of that?
Yeah, I think this is so important. And I spoke to some kids at St. Edward's, some actors from St. Edward's, because that's where I graduated from. And this was like their number one thing of like theirs was like, how do you have a family and do this? Because like I feel like going through college and stuff, it was sold to me that like you could not have a family, like you must be on your own. Like I was told to break up with my boyfriend at the time, like, and now he's my husband. And like that would have been wild if that would have happened. So I feel like the two most important things is time. Instead of saying yes to all of the things all at once this week, like just pace yourself. Like, you know, you can set, like I have meetings for my production company. If I have like more than 2 to 3 meetings a day, I know that like that's going to be a little much for me because I'm raising my boy all day long too. And the second thing is support. You have to have support. Like my husband is the most supportive person ever to me. I would not be able to do literally anything without his help. And he'll help me with the baby if I have an audition. He's watching the baby right now. Like he is my rock in that way, that if I did not have him, I don't know how I would be able to do any of it. So definitely time and support. So like back to the time thing. There's a saying out there. It's like people underestimate how much you can do in like 10 years or something. Like it's like you overestimate how much you can do in a year, but underestimate how much you can do in 10 years. So if you start looking at stuff more of these long-term like building blocks, that pressure can be relieved and you can get a lot more done. So that's kind of how I look at it.
I love that. And then during phases, how do you stay motivated during maybe some slower phases when things aren't going, or when things aren't going on, or you aren't getting auditions, or you aren't getting cast, or maybe there's, how do you stay motivated?
So for me, it's like the motivation, I think again, thinking of it as a long-term thing, the motivation never leaves me, like ever, because I know when I'm done with this family event, like I'm going to go back and I'm going to submit myself, or I know that when this phase is over, like I took a maternity leave and I was off for 3 months. I know that once I'm back, I'm going to be back. It's going to be fine. So I think just like, again, like giving yourself some grace, which I have to give myself grace a lot and be like, give yourself grace, because I want to go, 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 go. It's my natural instinct. That's why sometimes you'll be like, let's get coffee. I'm like, absolutely, I'm there. And then I'm like, I have scheduled too much. I can't. I can't.
Let's catch up on the phone instead.
Let's catch up on the phone.
Yes, let's do it.
Yes. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Awesome. And then one other thing, we chatted about financial uncertainty, which I think is not talked about as much as I think it should be, because I have a lot of friends that think, oh my gosh, you're an actor, you get to do all these things. And I'm like, it's not. So many other actors have different jobs. We do a bunch of different things, and kind of debunking that myth that once you're seen on TV, or once you're doing your own thing, or you have a production company, that it isn't always easy. So talk about pursuing your career in the jobs that you took and things that you had to do to make it work. And again, that grind of doing whatever you can to make it work.
Yeah, 100%. So I was always trying to find something that would support my acting career. And it was really difficult, because it's like, you want something where you're going to be available for auditions, but yet like you don't want to work part-time, because then you're not making any money at all. And it really is a struggle. And I told the kids at St. Edward's, I was like, when you're first getting started, you have to think about who's going to fund your career. Are your parents going to fund your career? Are you going to work a 9 to 5 and then get off work and then go work on your career? Or do you have a spouse that's going to fund your career? How are you going to get paid? Because this acting specifically, you don't get paid in the beginning. You really, truly don't. And it's a hard pill to swallow, and you're still going to get asked to work for free or work for very, very less. And I'm a producer. I'm in the rooms with these people, and they're like, well, we could just like not pay the actor.
No, you can't do that.
And then me and Jenny are like, no, you have to pay the actors, because we're actors. And we're like, no, like, well, why does this part get like cut down on, you know? So I think like, if you are an actor and you're getting started, just know that this is going to be like an ongoing thing, and it's okay. And you can find ways to make it work. You can be a reader on We Audition in your spare time. In that way you're still applying your skills. You can direct children's theater.
I do. I direct young actors.
Exactly. You can direct young actors. You're doing a podcast. Like there's a lot. I think the biggest takeaway that I've learned by trying a bunch of different jobs, my personal training, my tech sales, I also did like social media management. From doing all of that stuff, I've learned it's really helpful to do something that's tied in with the industry, because you can work and it's still helping your acting career. And I had a teacher that told me this in college, and I really wish I would have just listened to her. So for instance, now with our production company, so we filmed an event for South by Southwest, and all of the panels that we were filming were about filmmaking in Texas. So we were filming the event, and then I was going and meeting the panelists and exchanging cards and like networking. And I was like, this is so awesome. So yes, it's a struggle, but you will find what works for you. And if any advice at all, you can take the odd jobs, take the skills from those jobs, and then maybe find something that's in the industry so you can constantly be surrounded and still be creative. Like like you with directing the kids, you
Yeah.
know, you're still being creative. You're still in a theater, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Take the odd jobs. I feel like you have there's so many experiences I've pulled from working weird jobs when I lived in New York
believe
City
it.
as a broke actor. And now I can be on set and be like, okay, pulled from that.
I love that.
And things like that.
I want to hear about those later.
We'll chat. We'll chat.
Please.
Okay. 2 more things.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge that you have overcome?
The biggest challenge that I've overcome. The biggest challenge that I've overcome is that idea that I couldn't have a family if I was an actor, because it really put a lot of strain on my relationship with my husband, but at the time boyfriend. And I remember just being like, I love this person, but I feel like if I stay with them, I will never make it. I genuinely felt that way, because if I stayed with him, I wasn't going to move to LA. If I stayed with him, I was probably going to have kids. If I stay with, I'm not going to make it. And that was like horrifying to me. And because I didn't want to leave him at all. And I'm like still like madly in love with him. And then, so now being on the other side of it, I'm like, I just wish that I could go back and tell myself, like, you can do that stuff. Like everything that I'm saying right now, like was fed to me by teachers and other people, like, but the industry has changed like completely. Like I don't have to be in LA to audition in LA. I don't have to be in Atlanta to audition in Atlanta. I literally tape from my living room and then I can kiss my husband. Like this is great. I didn't know that this reality existed, but at the time it was horrible because I felt like I had to end things. And so it was just like terrible, like inner turmoil of like, well, what am I selfish? Like, you know, like I really don't want to do all these horrible things, but I don't know how else I'm going to pursue my dream. Do I put my dream on the line? Like it was terrible. And, so now when I talk to students that are younger, I try to tell them like, you can have a family. Obviously, you can. Also, I want to debunk, if you think you're not going to be able to work when you're pregnant, because I thought that too, and I thought my career was over. No, I worked a bunch when I was pregnant. I was cast in some web series, and I told the director, hey, by the way, like I'm pregnant. When we're filming, I'm going to be really pregnant. Like, do you care? And he was like, no, I think that's great. It adds to the character. And I was like, amazing.
I love that.
So yeah, all of those things, I was just told it wouldn't be able to happen. And now I'm living the reality that it can happen. And yeah, I'm just so thankful that like I didn't just like end things with my boyfriend because of stuff that I was told. That was the biggest challenge. It really was. Yeah. Everything goes back to like my family is my core, and like without them, I couldn't do my art now. So like I can't believe I almost didn't have my core. Like I have no idea how it would have been. Yeah.
That was so well said.
Thank you.
And a last piece of advice, that one thing that we didn't chat about or that you want to touch base on a little bit more. One last thing, if you could give a piece of advice to listeners or to young artists or to people that don't know the industry very well, or a piece of information, what would you say?
My piece of advice is if you're a young actor and you feel extremely overwhelmed by everything that this industry is, you're not alone. It's overwhelming for everybody, and I don't think it ever kind of goes away, that overwhelm. But just know, even though it feels like it's out of your hands, you can control some stuff. And I encourage you to take control of the things that you can by creating your own work, by connecting with casting directors on your own without your representation, and by constantly pitching yourself to directors, producers, people in your local area. You can control that stuff, and it will make the biggest impact on your career. I promise you.
Catie, you're incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you. And to our listeners, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and follow on Spotify and iTunes so you don't miss our future episodes.
Sounds amazing, I'm telling you.
Thank you.